This is your village, and no offense, but it sucks. The houses are tiny. There's only like 4 villagers, and if I start a raid, can it even survive? Answer is no, literally everything died. So your village is bad, but mine is way better, so let's take a look at my village. Wait a minute, every single one of my villages is small. This is a big problem, so I've come up with an idea. Imagine a village housing thousands of villagers, millions in emeralds, and the largest villager house the world has ever seen. I want to make this a reality, so let's generate a new world and find a village. I need to get rich, and this farmer sells emeralds, but I need 15 beetroot, and I know only one place where I can get them. So I murdered some animals, did some off-screen mining, traveled to the nether, killed some blazes, lost all my good gear, killed some blazes, looted some endermen, died again, combed through my footage to find where my loot was, died again, died again, died again, used some ender eyes, located the stronghold, activated the portal, shot some towers, died again, killed the dragon, found an end city, found 3 more end cities, until finally, my beetroot. However, when I returned, it was nighttime and dangerous monsters were near my villagers. I slept and traded for the emerald in the morning, but was worried they would be killed the very next night. So initiate Project Bunker. I'm locking the villagers in their houses to keep them safe in the meantime, but I'm going to dig out a giant bunker for them to live in. For that to not take 30 years, I need instant mining, which I get from fully powering a beacon, so I need a nether star and over 150 blocks of valuables. I'm gonna focus on the nether star first. The only way to get this is to kill the wither, so I enchanted my sword for looting and got to killing wither skeletons. I got pretty unlucky and had to kill over 120 before I got all 3 skulls, but once I did, I found a nice flat area and spawned the wither. Its first phase went down pretty easily with my bow, and I used my sword to finish him off. So that's the wither star collected, but what about all those blocks I need? I figured there's no way around this, so I upgraded my pickaxe, brewed some night vision potions, and headed to the mines. I mined until I had used all of my potions, but I wasn't sure if I had collected enough ore when I headed home. Since my pickaxe had silk touch, I placed all the ores I collected and then used a fortune pickaxe on them for a glorious 20 minutes. And I didn't even finish it, I had to repair my pickaxe. By the end, I still was not sure if I would have enough to fully power the beacon, so after helping with climate change, I did a final count and found that I had more than enough blocks. So I dug down in the middle of the village, built the beacon when I reached bedrock, and activated the haste effect, which gives instant mining. Next step of Project Bunker was to actually dig it out. I started with making some large stairs. I'm gonna need to transport villagers both down and eventually back up, and the easiest way to do this is to put a villager in a boat. That does mean I will need to put water on these stairs to be able to use the boat effectively, so once I finish them, I place buckets of water at the top, and with a little help, they flow to the bottom. Now that I'm at the bottom, I'm digging out 2 big rooms. This first long room, I'm planning to put beds in for the villagers to sleep. However, to craft a massive amount of beds, I need a very large amount of wool, so I'm going to be starting a sheep farm directly after I finish mining. The other room will be where the workstations are. Later on, I want many of every villager type, but for now, I just need to breed villagers, so I'll be using mostly farmers who sell bread, which villagers used to breed. Now I'm going to start on the sheep farm so I can make beds for the villagers. I first collected a lot of wood, found a nice area, terraformed it a little bit, and then built a fence perimeter. The next day, I found 2 nearby sheep and brought them in. I bred them once, but to breed hundreds of sheep, I'm going to need way more wheat, so I prepared a shulker box, made and enchanted a diamond hoe, and I started flying around to nearby villages to raid their wheat. I was planning on going for longer, but I realized about 3 stacks of hay bales would be enough to breed almost 1,000 sheep already, so my trip was pretty short. Well, not really. Directly after, I realized my elytra was breaking, so I took a quick trip to the end to hunt for more end cities that have end ships so I can get even more elytra. But the good thing is because I already have one and also stacks of fireworks, hunting for more is so much easier because I can just fly through at really fast speeds. So after only 30 minutes, I collected a very healthy amount of elytras. When I came back, I bred the sheep again, and one day there will be enough sheep to provide beds for both my bunker and my eventual massive village. For now though, So I just needed some workstations, starting with composters so I could get farmer villagers. I traveled to a nearby forest and chopped trees until I had a few stacks of wood. I then crafted a lot of composters and placed them down in the bunker. However, the bread I needed to buy from the farmer villagers cost emeralds, so I would also need a different workstation that can give many emeralds. After some research, I found the best profession would just be Fletchers, who sell an emerald for a mere 32 sticks or just 4 logs. I would need some flint to craft a fletching table, so I whipped out my fortune shovel and mined over a stack. Now, with both workstations I needed placed down, I also crafted and placed a couple of beds. Now, with everything set up, I decided to try and bring the villagers who are currently locked in their houses into the safe bunker. Luckily, I had a plan. I have moved villagers using boats before, and using a water bucket, I can move them upward as well. As long as I can get the villager in the boat to the water stairs, they should be all good. I also created a quick personal staircase to travel up and down quickly. I then broke the wall of one of the villagers' houses and placed them in a boat and tried to move them, only to find out that the water bucket trick was not working. I was simply not traveling upwards in the boat, which completely jeopardized my plan. This meant I simply could not move the villager and I couldn't get them to the water stairs. And I still don't know exactly why it didn't work. I think it may only work properly on Bedrock Edition, but I am on Java, so I decided to seal the villager back up in the house and come up with a new plan. This time, I decided to dig out a long tunnel extending all the way from the villager's house through the mountain into a free fall which landed on the stairs. I also figured since I won't really be needing the water on the stairs, I could just go ahead and remove it and convert it into more of an actual bunker entrance. This more foolproof plan should work, so I unsealed the villager for a second time and moved him through the tunnel. It was a little slow, but worked flawlessly. The villager dropped down and he was now in the bunker and safe. There were 4 other villagers who were all trapped in the exact same house, so I dug a connecting path from there into the tunnel and used the exact same boat method to bring all 4 down. They happily slept and had jobs and were working the very next day, so I turned some of my extra wood into sticks and traded with a Fletcher for some sweet emeralds. I then spent those emeralds buying bread from a farmer. I then dropped the bread back to them and they started throwing it around, and very soon a baby villager popped out, the first of many. Then for the next few days I had a pretty simple life. In the morning I would fly to a nearby forest and mine a simply insane amount of wood. Remember, every 4 logs is an emerald, so I was making bank. Then when the sun was setting, I flew home, sheared and bred my sheep, who are now growing pretty fast. Then in the night I would use the wool to make and place more beds, and I would use the same process where I would trade villagers for emeralds, trade it back for bread, and then give the bread back to them so they would make more villagers. After a few days, I had a booming economy, a thriving bunker, and many iron golems to keep it safe. Everything was now going great, and I think Project Bunker is now completed, and it's time to activate Project Tower. I started with terraforming part of the village so I could build a massive tower on top of it. I also relocated the beacon so I could use speed 2 instead. My goals for this tower are to have at least 64 of every villager type, so I'm gonna need a lot of beds, a lot of workstations, and simply a lot of room. Every floor will be dedicated to a single villager profession, and I want each to have their own style that also fits. I started creating the outline of this first floor, and it's going to be dedicated to butcher villagers. So I'm placing many smokers, and butchers also kind of look like prisoners, so I'm trying to give off the vibe of a prison cafeteria. Halfway through, I tried changing the bunker entrance, but villagers and iron golems started to come up the steps. I wanted to move them up later, but since they're already here, I made the bunker into stairs and unleashed them all. From here, I just filled in some more walls and crafted all 64 beds, which I would have to fit into a pretty small room. After a bit of experimenting, I used slabs to make a bunk bed type structure, and although it was tight, all 64 beds were placed, and very soon villagers were already sleeping in them and working at the smokers. A single floor took around 30 stacks of blocks, so after grinding a lot of stone, I worked on filling up the walls and the roof. I also created the stairs that will be used on the way up to the second floor. I was flying around my village and I noticed a bunch of villagers that were just outside in the river. I figured this was because they had beds in the bunker but couldn't figure out the way to to actually get there, so I created an additional staircase to the bunker, which they happily used. Also, for some reason, there were 4 iron golems just inside of my enchanting table. I wanted to keep them there, but unfortunately I actually did need to use my enchanting table, so I had to kill them. I also got a few toolsmith villagers so I could sell my iron for emeralds, and I even decided to spend some diamonds for emeralds since those were legitimately more useful. And I now started to work on the 2nd floor, and since this was the stonecutter area, I decided to use chiseled stone bricks to construct the walls and the roof. I then dug out some funny looking windows to let some light in, which I really liked, so I also added some windows to the 1st floor. I then crafted and placed a lot of stonecutters down, and I even gave them some little stone structures nearby so it looked like they were working on them. I then crafted 64 beds and placed them all around. It was a little tight, but at this point the room was pretty much finished, so I started on the next floor. This would be where the armorers and toolsmith villagers are, so I'm gonna make it look like a cave mixed with a forge. For now though, I'm just building the walls and the roof, and I'll finish it very soon, but first I want more emeralds, so I'm visiting this woodland mansion I found earlier. I'm gonna raid it and hopefully get a good amount of emeralds. In the end, it was very dangerous, but my looting sword really helped me to get a lot of emeralds, and as a bonus, I got some totems of undying as well. I had gotten 50 emeralds, which was nice, but sadly not enough, so I spent a while mining the nearby dark oak trees until I had nearly 40 stacks of wood, which would land me right around 10 stacks of emeralds. When I returned, I mined out some strips of stone on the wall to let light in, and I also went on a quick mining expedition to grab some ores, which I'm decorating around the stone to make it look more like a cave. There's also these little forges with lava in them, which after a little bit of fooling around ended up looking great. From there, I added some mounds of stone and started building the mineshaft-esque platform that the villagers' beds would be on. After crafting and placing all the beds, I still needed a little bit more room, so I also built a mini platform underneath. Now I just needed to make the actual workstation, so I made a bunch of smithing tables and also blast furnaces, which dug pretty far into my iron reserves, but I managed to create them and place them all down. Next floor, I'm going to do the fisherman and the farmer combined, and to do that, I'm going to make a grassy kind of foresty area that is going to have a river in it, but I am going to need a lot of dirt. So here is my very good shovel, and now time to start getting a lot of dirt. Dirt. Okay, my shovel is about to break, but I think I've gotten enough dirt. So I spent the next 2 days making the walls. I'm actually gonna wait a minute to make the roof, and I was doing this because I needed to grow trees which need direct sunlight to actually be able to grow. And I also made a little lake for the fishermen, and I then made and placed all the barrels and composters. However, I have a pretty big problem right now. I now have all these workstations that I need villagers to fill, but only about 10 or 15 of the ones that are here are even filled at all. So you would think the problem would be is that there are not enough villagers, but if I go outside, you can see that they are all just chilling right here for literally no reason. Plus a bunch are still just outside here, not really doing much. So I'm gonna try breaking a lot of the beds that are down here in the hopes that they relocate up there and then get the jobs that are up there. So I destroyed a ton of the beds and relocated them in the forest area. I do not think anything changed. They're all still here. I already dug a staircase back there and another one right here, but I think I'll try digging a third and see if that helps. Oh yes. Oh yeah, they're all coming. I'm also going to try relocating these bells since the villagers always gather here during the afternoon. Maybe they will gather here instead. I also just realized the weaponsmith villagers fit perfectly in this room and I just completely forgot to add them. So I'm going to craft a bunch of grindstones. Oh, it looks like something's happening. Oh yes. Yes, they're all going up, and I'm seeing a lot of green particles. I think that's a great sign. Yeah, I think this idea actually worked out great. What I really want to see is how many villagers are sleeping here when the day comes to an end. In the meantime, I'm using some bone meal so I can make this place look a lot more natural. Perfect. All these guys are coming to bed. This is exactly what I wanted. I think this is double or triple the amount of previous villagers I had here. I'll also break some of the smokers since even though I do want a lot, even I can admit that this is a little bit excessive. I was gonna make a roof here, but I think I'm actually going to just keep building up instead. Oh boy, the villagers are coming up. I was about to explain myself. Okay, I need to put stairs up here. The reason I'm making the walls higher is because the next 3 villager jobs, shepherds, fletchers, and leather workers all kind of fit in once again a dirt area. I think now I'm gonna work on extending these walls even higher. And once I finished that, I also added another platform with some more trees and also those workstations. Okay, I will admit my initial goal of having 64 of every villager type is simply not going to happen. Getting that many villagers is just going to take an unbelievable amount of time. But at this point, I only have 3 villager jobs left, which I'm going to group into one very big floor. The last jobs I have left are the cleric, the librarian, and also the cartographer. And I'll be the first to say it, the tower kinda looks like crap. I'm gonna mine a lot of oak wood and make the last floor just the roof. And that way it'll somewhat resemble a villager house. Now I'm going to break all 4 corner columns on the tower and replace each of them with oak logs. That actually does make it look a lot better, but now it's time to work on the roof, which hopefully should complete it. Using the rest of my wood, I made a lot of stairs and then formed the entire roof. Okay, it still doesn't look that great, but I do think it looks better. I then went into the interior and made the entire floor. And finally, the very last step is to place the final workstations. I'm sure somebody out there has made a larger village, but for me, this is by far the biggest handmade village I have ever built or seen, equipped with a secure bunker, hundreds of residents, and multiple of every workstation. It will prosper for hundreds of Minecraft years, and I think that is a success. So subscribe for more and have a great day.